I don't know these guys. I've never met them before. Oh, yes, I have. So the cool thing about Hapn.co, in my opinion, is that these guys started out as a group at, what was it called, the Millennial Spark Tank, part of the Millennial 2020 program, and came together in a day and kind of like a mini startup weekend, put together this idea, this concept for a business, pitched it, won funding, made you rich, right? How much was it again?
$500.
$500. So you've got a big team doing a lot of stuff, and they are not here to talk about that tonight. What we asked them to come and talk about was the fact that they rocked to get a beta version of Hapn.co up really quickly, and they're here to talk about what is rapid development. What did they learn when they were doing rapid development?
All right, so like Steve said, we are Hapn.co, and our goal is to help you find something to do near where you are. And here is our overall mission, but I'm not going to read that verbatim. Talk more about how we met. So when we were at the Millennial Spark Tank event that the regional partnership did earlier this year, we all came together around a common goal of us wanting to be able to, in a more simple way, find what's going on, have the best time we can possibly have where we live. And we're all very, very passionate about that and really excited about being able to help the community at large with being able to do that and connect businesses, events, with all the people that live here. I'm going to show some screen captures on the website next, and Josh is going to talk about that.
But our front page is just, kind of a simple layout. We have a bunch of things we're experimenting with, like the social stream, the local blog that we write about. There's some things that we look at we're not satisfied with, but the fact that we have a working beta is probably the most important thing at this point in time. And we're still working on changing and tweaking the UI to make it more friendly. When you look at an event listing, this is more or less what it looks like. Again, the social stream, you can interact with the event, say you're going, you like it. The event, when it happens, is listed below. So there's multiple occurrences of most events anyway. A lot of them occur weekly or daily for a period of time. We did that to help businesses be able to put it up in one shot instead of having to over and over again add it for every day. You can just choose it continues on these days for however long, and it'll automatically figure out and fill that in for you. A business listing, on the other hand, looks like this. You can see business pint and slice. You have your hours. One of the features we want to have available is for businesses to be able to offer coupons or discounts, something along those lines. You can see the events at that particular location, and then below people are able to review. The map is kind of fun too because it allows you to get directions. All this is done primarily through plugins and WordPress, which we'll talk about in a little bit in more detail.
So I'm going to talk about who is on the Hapn.co team. So we have Courtney, Josh, which is here tonight, and Michael. And then we don't have any technical difficulties. Oh, there we go. Okay. And so that's me. We also have Steve, which is here tonight, and then Tim. Our main goal, and Steve Franks will love that we put this on here, is to have a minimal viable product for the 1.0 launch. And so we want to do the absolute necessary features to have something that can meet people's needs, but at the same time we need to be able to move quickly, get something out the door, be able to start collecting revenue from people, things of that nature. And so how did we come to that decision? So due to our situation, we have to make pragmatic decisions, understand what actually is going on, because we are we're all employed full-time, or almost all of us employed full-time, and then so we have limited availability, and then on top of that, we're not collecting revenue right now. So far we've been able to use only the money that's been given us by the partnership. We're very, very grateful for that, by the way. And so as a result, we use the project management triangle as kind of like our guide on how we're going to do this project. So if you've never heard of it, basically there's 3 points to the triangle. You have fast, good, and cheap. And everyone wants to have all three, but that's pretty much impossible or near impossible to ever pull off. So given our status, we decided to go with fast and cheap.
Of free and premium plugins, which Robert has a funny story about plugins.
Yes, actually I have two. So when I first met with Josh and we were talking about different solutions for this, he kept on saying we can use WordPress and there's a plugin for that. And he kept on saying that and saying that and saying that. And at one point I got worried about this because I've seen consultants, vendors in the past promise the moon and can't deliver any of it. And I thought, oh great, I don't know these kind of people. So I pulled aside Ryan Emmel, who's one of the founders of Founders. And I was like, does this sound reasonable to you? Like, can a solid WordPress developer realistically promise this sort of thing with our situation? He's like, oh yeah, definitely. And I was like, really? And so far Josh has done a wonderful job. So I'm really proud of him. And then the other was regarding like me being very blunt about like the need to do this mix that we've done. Like from the get-go, I emphasize like we got to make sure we have like a responsive like website design, so we're like mobile device friendly like this thing. But also, you know, people on a regular computer can do what they need to do, and not be afraid to spend money to do that. So the majority of the money we've spent actually has gone toward add-ons for WordPress. So that way, and I would have slapped him silly if he said not to do that, because we save so much time spending, I think it was under $200, under $300, something like that, which really isn't that much money when you think about it in terms of the man hours we saved. So I'll let you
So the two premium plugins that we used for this was PageLines, which is a responsive template for WordPress. We looked at a lot of different responsive templates. Most of them are really good, but a lot of them are very limited in how much you can customize them. PageLines is really different, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a bit. And Gravity Forms for data entry. We were the first toying around with designing our own forms, and that just started to seem ridiculous. So Ray recommended Gravity Forms, and we love it. So as far as custom development for the site, there were a couple of features that we wanted that WordPress either didn't do at all or we couldn't find a plugin that did effectively. One of which was the event system, which is pretty much what our site is built around. We couldn't find a plugin that did quite what we needed. There were a lot of really good calendar plugins out there, but most of them were just calendars, and they weren't very searchable. They didn't have a lot of options. So we developed our own solution for that. Another thing we looked at was the business editor. We did custom post types to create business listings, and for most businesses we felt they would be very confused by logging in to the WordPress admin and seeing all these options, you know, the custom fields, everything. Even with additional plugins, it was too complex. So we created our own little editor that businesses will have access to manage their own page. PageLines has what they call sections, which is a lot like other templates have widgets that you can move around and position within the template. Sections in PageLines can be really easily moved around in the drag and drop editor. You can place them in multiple spots. You can clone them. So you can have a plain content box that is nothing but whatever you paste in, HTML or plain text, and you can place it 5 times on the same page if you really wanted to. So that allowed us to get data from our event system, from custom things we did with business listings, and put it on the page quickly and easily without having to screw around too much with other plugins or other things. One of the cool things with that is we were able to use the Smarty template engine for PHP and just pull that right in with PageLines so that we could quickly template our data so we can spit it out in an attractive way, fairly more attractive than what it would have been otherwise. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to talk about the graphics part of it. So in order to do this with the fast and cheap method, we use a variety of image sources for our overall product. And over time, we're going to circle back around, do some cleanup work, and have more like a consistent look and feel, and then there will be like a Hapn like look. So here's an example of some custom like graphic design work that Michael's done. And so we started here, we ended up over here. And you can see that it's gotten like more cleaned up and polished over time, but we expect over time, like maybe a year or 2 from now, to have even more like stages of like the evolution of like our logo. And then on the next slide, we have, these are more like a mixture of stock images, which would be the map icons that we found. And then I believe, did you do all of these up here?
Michael did the map stuff.
Oh, okay.
I did those.
Okay, so we had like the open and closed graphic, and we also have these as well. It shows like your relationship with the event or venue.
Yeah.
So here's our roadmap for our solution going forward is the feasibility of us being able to pull dynamically information from other people. We do have a long-term goal of expanding to other cities. And so in order to scale up, we're probably likely going to have to be able to do a mixture of data sources and then merge it all together into something that actually makes sense. So that's going to be very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what he comes up with. Yes?
Your path to revenue, like,
Oh,
curious as to how
sure.
There's a couple of options. We have several things we want to do. Like, for example, you saw the business listing, there was a coupon available, that type of thing. That would be a premium feature. Businesses can obviously use it for free. Users always will use it for free. But businesses will have the ability to advertise or promote their event. Kind of like a Facebook promoted post, you know, their event would be at the top of the page.
Or a promoting tweet. So as you're searching around, events stay on the map no matter what you're searching for, get visible. That'd be a paid feature. And on-site, obviously, the ad spots. So
Did you guys talk about additional information
Yeah.
on the business profile?
Businesses can have a subscription they'll be able to pay for that allow them to have extra features on their page that a normal business that uses it for free wouldn't have. So we're brainstorming a lot of different ideas of what that would be, but one of the ideas we've come up with, among other things, the advertisement. So there's lots of other possibilities that we're looking to get into.
That include things like demographic information, analytics.
yeah, analytics.
Yeah. I'm not ruling that out. My only, I guess, attitude I have about that is don't be creepy.
Yeah.
So, but I think you can do like enough anonymization on the information, stuff like that.
So do you
We can
build,
do
you build a great big user base, and then and that's the incentive for the company to come along and pay you to get access to it? Or do you have a great big feed base on the companies that are trying to promote, and that's what attracts your users? Which comes first is what I'm asking.
Probably attracting the users, getting people to use the site is going to be the most critical thing. In order to do that, we have to make the site useful. So our biggest goal at this point is making the site relevant, friendly, easy to use, so that people will actually start using it. Then we can look towards encouraging businesses to get on board. Anything else?
Is there going to be an API or any kind of embeddable kind of stuff?
Like that's one of the other possible revenue streams is, like, for example, a local newspaper or media organization like Lane could populate their community calendar from our database. Yeah, that's one of the other options we're looking to as well. And that'll probably be,
It's post 1.0.
yeah, shortly
Yeah.
after. It's not incredibly difficult, but it's just a matter
It's
of
on his
having
task list.
content.
But it's not on the 1.0 task list.
Selling access to a co-branded calendar and a search API is definitely another revenue stream to get relevant content on newspapers and other local media websites that they can also sell advertising against, so we can provide value in that way. And that's obviously worth money. How quickly can you do that?
It's something we're, fairly ready to do. It's just a matter of getting it all set up and setting up API keys, getting access, that type of thing. We can't start charging for anything until we have the legal entity. So there are certain steps we have to do before we get to that point, but I think it's something that right about the time we launch 1.0, shortly thereafter, we can start selling API access. And that'll probably be one of the first revenue streams that we can really get going, I think, personally, just because until we have that strong user base, businesses aren't going to be as willing to subscribe.
What's the timeline for launch for 1.0?
We're hoping to have the public beta probably sometime next month, I think is what we were talking about internally.
Yeah. What I always said to the team was I didn't want to try to say like end of year, because with holidays and things like that, I was like, there's no way. It would be setting ourselves up for failure. I'm hoping like in January, but
And that would be.
and I'm
what we
hoping
want
for
to-
like first quarter next year to launch it.
Shoot for Q1. Any other questions?
What are your promotional plans for your site?
I think we're ready to discuss.
To get your name out and make it popular. Get people using it.
I haven't discussed that much with
No, I
Courtney,
think-
so I don't know if you
I don't
guys
think
have
we're,
or
yeah, I
not.
don't think we're ready to discuss that quite yet.
Courtney's our kind of our marketing guru, so she's been working on some things in the background, but after the first of the year, we're really gonna be sitting down to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah, one of the reasons why we wanted to wait till January to do like the public beta was because we have people on our team that have like end of year commitments beyond the holidays, and so Courtney and Tim in particular, we haven't been able to do much with them this month. But we're hoping after January 1st that we'll be going on. Also,
Okay.
somebody that we did not mention on the slides that was on the Spark Tank team was Casey Miller. Yeah. So her full-time job I believe is at the partnership, right?
No, it's the
Regional chamber.
Regional chambers. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm horrible with titles. Anyways, we're looking to have her be like on a part-time basis, doing like event planning, and so we vision her working with Courtney quite a bit on that.
One of the ideas we have is after we launch, at some point to have a kind of launch party, kind of make like a block party, and that's what Casey originally pitched at the Spark Tank, and so she kind of joined our team as a way of promoting our product would be to have this launch party.
Something akin to a Taste of Fort Wayne that would have local businesses using the service there and, do, sort of a block party. I don't know if anyone went to the one in the fall, but be the spring or summer equivalent to the fall's Taste of the Arts event.
Who's your target market? Who would use this? Like, what kind of people? What kind of person would use this?
Probably millennials mostly. Anybody can, obviously, but it's mostly young people that are really looking to see what's going on. And when we were putting in content, we were taking that strongly into consideration. To give you an example, the library has all kinds of events going on. A lot of them are geared at very young kids or families or older people. So we're not going to necessarily look at putting on like Computer Class 101 onto the site because for our users, you're using a computer to get on the site, so it's not really relevant to you.
In the long term, we're gonna incorporate more and more of that, but just in terms of like short term, biggest bang for our buck. I mean, what I'm thinking is this is gonna be like people on the go that have like smartphones are probably gonna be.
This will be an app.
Because it's gonna be like instantaneous, like like let's say like two of us are hanging out, like grabbing a drink, like on the Street West, and we're like, this place is dead tonight. Let's go somewhere else.
What's up?
Well, I wish there was this website to go to that would tell me that quickly, so that's, go to hapn.co and try to figure that out.
So I think the rest of the questions at this point we'll probably find them at during the next networking point in this so we can get moving on to the next section of things.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.